years ago, in a small town where dreams can come true or come to pieces, there was a young girl named TGA. She was full of dreams and hopes, determined to create a better future for herself and her family. Her parents worked hard to put her through college, and TGA promised herself that she would not let them down, no matter what. When she was accepted into college to study mass communications, TGA knew this was her chance to change her life. She was beautiful, smart, and driven, a person everyone looked up to. During her freshman year, she balanced her studies and part-time job perfectly, avoiding anything that might have gotten her off track. The support made her a role model, earning the respect of her peers and comrades. But then the second came, and with it, a storm. Oko is a senior, charming, confident, and dangerous in a way TGA has never known. He understands her, sympathizes with her struggles, and it makes her irresistible. TJ, who has never been in a relationship before, is suddenly swept up in love with Oko, a love that is both beautiful and threatening to everything she has worked so hard to build. The happy days come as quickly as the wind. TGA falls in love with Oko, who always whispers softly in her ear, "You're not like other girls. You're smart, beautiful, and I see a bright future for us." At first, TGA thinks it's the stress of school that's causing her body to go haywire. But as the days pass, turning into weeks, a nagging worry creeps in. Finally, she decides to take the TIE test, and the results confirmed her last fear. TD was pregnant. She blinked, desperate, but still clung to a glimmer of hope. Oko won. But when TTJ told Oko, his reaction broke her. "This isn't my problem, is it? You know what happens to girls, deal with it." His voice was cold, his eyes distant, and then, without explanation, he disappeared, blocked her number, ignored her, disappeared from her life as if he had never existed. TJ fell into a deep depression, loneliness, the pain of not knowing what to do. She withdrew, avoiding everyone's eyes. But her friends, they noticed the change. They wouldn't let the silence sink in. One evening in Onome's apartment, they surrounded her, demanding an explanation, and TJ couldn't keep it inside any longer. She burst into tears, sobbing amid the worried sighs of her friends. "I don't know what to do. My parents will be so disappointed." She was scared, betrayed, and most of all, lonelier than ever. Those long, lonely nights, TGA would lie face down on her pillow, silent tears blurring her features. She cried until she was exhausted, until sleep dragged her into a restless dream. "I'm scared," she whispered. "What if I can't do it? What if I slide at field? What if everything falls apart?" Onomi sat beside her, squeezing her hand. "You won't slide." The words, "You are stronger than you think," and "We're here no matter what." And when the crucial moment of resolution came, when the pain tightened TGA, when the stinging streaks rolled down her brow, Onome was the one holding her hand in the delivery room. The first cry of a baby filled the small room. TG answered, tears streaming down her face. But this time it wasn't from fear. It was an explosion of happiness, of a new strength overflowing. "She's so beautiful, Onomena." Outside, Isas and Ruki waited. When they saw their friend holding the little creature in her arms, what did they say? Just hugged each other, eyes red with joy. And then, without hesitation, they joined hands to contribute money to buy baby supplies, to take care of Tija. But even with them by her side, a fear still clung to TGA's mind. Her parents, they were the ones who had worked day and night all their lives, sacrificing everything to give her a good future. And ever since she found out she was pregnant, she had never had enough. Every time they visited her house, she found a problem, an important test, a job that needed to be done, some reason, and because deep down, Tige believed she was a disappointment. Tonight, after putting her child to sleep, TG sat quietly in her small apartment. The pale yellow light fell on her face, highlighting the circles of fatigue. But more than exhaustion, worry surrounded her like a shadow. Onome sat down beside her, silently observing her friend. "What's wrong, TGA?" she asked. TGA sniffling, her hands unconsciously clenching her shirt. Finally, she whispered, "I haven't told my parents about this." The words fell like a heavy stone into the quiet space. "I'm afraid of how they react. They've worked hard all their lives to put me through college, and now I've let them down. What if they disowned her? What if they never forgave her?" Onome looked straight into TGA's eyes, her diamond gaze determined. "They are your parents, TGA. They may be disappointed, they may be angry, but they deserve to know the truth. And most of all, they love you. But is love enough to erase this mistake?" TJ fell silent, lying flat. She remembered the old days when she was the pride of her family, when she entered college with dreams and hopes. She had sworn to herself that she would never let them down. And now she was at risk of losing everything. But what was more terrifying, the judgment of her parents? TJ sat there, her heart pounding, her hands gluing as Oko dialed the number. She had been thinking all night. Finally, she decided to talk to him. This was not something she could face. The call connected. Oko picked up after a few rings. "Hello, honey, what's up?" His voice was still and pregnant. "Oko, can you hear me?" And then his voice rang out. No longer sweet, no longer gentle, cold, fragmented. "This isn't my problem, is it? You know this, girls like you get it all the time." TJ didn't believe it. "What are you talking about? This is my child. Take care of yourself. It's fine." And then, crack. They call. TJ was dead silent. She called back. Her number was blocked. She went to his apartment. The door was locked. At school, he avoided her without explanation, without a word. Oko disappeared from her life, leaving her alone with the dream she had created. In the days that followed, TGA was like a ghost. She no longer smiled, no longer talked. Her friends began to notice the change. And then, one evening, as they sat in Onome's room, TG burst into tears. "I don't know what to do. She and my parents will be so disappointed. I can't raise a child on my own." Onome immediately hugged her tightly. "You know, roll on, TJ, we're here." S nodded, her eyes determined. "Kung is stronger than you think. You can do it." The rookie took her hand. "No matter what happens, we'll help you." Their words were like a ray of light in the dark screen inside TGA. She was no longer herself. And so she made a decision. She would keep the little ones. Underscore, 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 underscore. "I heard you got pregnant out of wedlock, right?" TG smiled faintly, though her heart ached. "That's right. But I'm still here, and I'm not giving up." Because she knew now she wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. Whispers began to appear. At first, it was just furtive glances. Conversations interrupted when TJ walked by, but then they gradually increased to malicious whispers. "That girl used to be the pride of the department. What about now? What a pity. Who could be expected? I heard that she gave birth to a child without a husband. Who does she think she is?" TGA heard it all. The advice was like a knife stabbing into her heart. And then, one day, a classmate walked up, her voice sweet but sharp as fashion. "TG, I heard that you're having an interesting, illegitimate pregnancy. Is that true?" TGA looked straight at her. She saw the disappointment in her eyes, but she had to refuse to fall. She smiled, a strong, painful smile. Yes, but I'm still here, and I'm not giving up. The long nights became suffocating. She lay in bed, holding her stomach, tears falling. I'm so scared. And what if I can't do it? If to slide. If I can't find the baby on her hand, you won't slide. You're stronger than you think, TGA, and we're here no matter what. TGA's eyes taking a deep breath. She wasn't herself, and she would fight. Underscore, 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 underscore. Come on, TDJ, you can do it. And then she looked at her baby, a tiny, fragile being, but full of, my baby. She burst into tears, but this time not in pain, but in happiness. Besides her, S and Ruki were also in tears. She's so beautiful. On her voice, her nose went because. They quickly paid the bills, bought taxis, milk, baby clothes. No one said anything, but everyone understood. They wouldn't let TJ fight alone, because she wasn't just their friend. She was family. TG had always been close to her parents, but since she got pregnant, she started avoiding them. Every time her parents called her home, she would make excuses. Too much homework, a busy schedule, too much work. But in reality, she was afraid of their disappointed eyes, afraid of facing the sacrifices they had made for her. Mr. and Mrs. Oates were simple people, working hard to raise their only daughter. They had placed all their hopes on TGA, hoping she would have a better future. She couldn't bear the thought that she had ruined everything. Underscore, 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 underscore. One evening, after putting her child to sleep, TGA sat quietly in her room, her face sad, unable to figure it out right away. What's wrong, TGA? She worked on the project for a while, then paused. I haven't told my parents about my child. Anon looked at the information in full. Why? I was afraid of how they would react. They worked so hard to get to where they are today, and now I've let them down. Anon put her hands on her shoulders. They are your parents, TJ. They may be disappointed at first, but they deserve to know the truth. They love you. TGA was silent. The thought of being disowned or being cut off from her family made her tremble. What if they don't forgive me? They love you, TGA. That's what family is. Underscore, 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 underscore. The next morning, something unexpected happened. TG woke up, her eyes still groggy from the night's tossing and turning. But as soon as she opened the door to her room, she found a hot fire and a simple cup of tea on the table. On the small piece of paper next to it was a line. Good morning to the most beautiful woman in my life. TGA laughed. As she walked through it, she realized something important. She wasn't alone. And then she made a decision. She was going home. Then she said, Honey, you deserve it. Bulma smiled, kissing her gently on the eyelid. Despite her busy schedule, Bulma still tried to make time for TGA. One evening, Bulma came home earlier than usual. He had prepared a special gift and a bouquet of flowers, hoping to surprise TGA. However, as he approached the bedroom, he accidentally heard a tense conversation from inside. Are you handling any work with the baby? She needs. I'm tired of these lies. You need to tell your husband the truth. But what if he doesn't love me anymore? TJ's voice trembled with fear. Please, I'll tell him, just not now. I can't. Bulma stopped, his heart pounding. A sense of defiance rose as he stepped inside. The two women turned around, their excitement evident on their glasses. What's going on? Bull. TJ burst into tears, finally unable to hide it any longer. In tears, she told him everything, begging him to forgive her. She explained that she was so scared of losing him, scared that if he knew the truth, he would leave her. Bulma sat still. The power of each word hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. TJ took his hand, tears rolling down. I'm scared. Her voice was lonely again. I think I'll lose you if you know about Oye. I'm sorry, husband. Don't you trust me enough to tell you the truth? He asked, his eyes thick. Onom stepped closer, speaking softly. Oma, she's scared. Honestly, she doesn't want to hurt you. But Oye is a wonderful child. She deserves to be loved, not kept as a secret. Bulma sighed heavily. He looked at TGA, his deep eyes filled with tangled thoughts. I need time to think, he finally said. Then he walked out of the house. That night, TGA couldn't sleep. She sat in the corner of the room, tears streaming down her face, praying that Oye felt something was wrong, and the little girl immediately. Mommy, are you okay? Oya asked worriedly. TJ hugged her daughter tightly, her voice sweet. I'm sorry, my love. I'm sorry for avoiding you. Please, forgive me. The next morning, Bulma surprised TJ by asking to see Oye. When she entered the room, she saw Bulma kneeling down to her level. Hello, Oya. I'm Bulma. You can call me your daughter. Oye's eyes lit up, full of surprise. Really? Yes, it is. Bulma nodded, pulling the little girl in. If you're comfortable, I'd love to be your father. Oye was silent for a moment, then answered. She expected anger and rejection, but instead, Bulma opened her arms to hug her. TTJ knew she couldn't hide anymore. She decided to be honest with both Bulma and Oye. One evening, she sat down inside and outside her mind. I told you when I hid this from you. You chose me to see what true love was, and I promise I'll never hide anything from you. Bulma listened quietly. TJ, I love you, but you need to learn to trust me. You're my husband, and we promise to go through everything together, good and bad. Oh yeah, hugged her mother, tears of relief. I forgive you, Mom. I just want us to be happy together. A few months later, TJ found out she was pregnant. She was extremely happy and decided to share her joy with her family. Bulma smiled and reassured her. This child will only bring us closer together. 9 months later, TGA gave birth to a baby girl. Their family became closer and stronger than ever. Bulma loved both girls, treating Oye with nothing but displeasure. Their home was always filled with laughter, and over the years, Oye grew up into a beautiful young woman. However, due to her mother's past, she had unwittingly built walls of defense around her heart. Oye was very reserved but extremely confident. Men were never a concern for her. She hated them to the core. But then she met Faye, a man who owned a chain of luxury restaurants in town. Despite his wealth, he was still humble and calm. Faye was attracted to Oye from the first time she saw him. He loved her smile, loved the confidence and charm she radiated. Faye wanted to approach her, but decided immediately. Oye refused. She was not interested in anything he said. But Faye was not the type of man to give up easily, especially when in love. He sent roses and gifts to her office every day, but she threw them away, even warning him to stay away from her completely. Tia began to worry about her daughter's attitude towards men, especially those who expressed their feelings for her. One day, the fat lady spoke to Oye. I say how to deal with those men. You can't judge every man out there by your father's past. Please, my daughter, give someone a chance to love you. I'm sure there's a good man out there for you. But Faye didn't give up. Instead of retreating, more and more emerged, bravely circling her edge, little by little, breaking down the walls she had built around herself. And then, not long after, the two truly fell in love. When their love was ripe, Faye took a step forward. He proposed to her. Oye was extremely happy and excited to start a new life with the man she loved. Both of them planned for her parents to start preparing for the naturalization ceremony. Finally, the day of the family introduction arrived. Faye, along with her parents and family members, prepared everything for a perfect meeting. The air was filled with laughter and joy until TGA's eyes met Faye's father. She froze, time ticking. It was Oko, her college boyfriend, the man who abandoned her when he found out she was pregnant with Oye. TGA took a deep breath, regained her composure, and said firmly, "This marriage cannot continue. I cannot be connected to this man." The room suddenly fell silent. Everyone was confused, their eyes fixed on her, waiting for an explanation. Oye felt her heart shatter when she heard her mother's words. She looked at her, her voice trembling. "Mom, what's going on? Before, you were the one who was advised to open your heart to love. Now you want to cancel my marriage before it even started?" She looked at her mother in pain, but still decided to know the truth. TGA family held her hand, looking straight at her daughter. Her voice rose, sharp but filled with pain. "The man sitting there is your father, and the man who married is your half-brother." The room shook. Oye blushed, tears streaming down in the silence. Turned to Oko, her eyes blazing fiercely. "Please get him out of my house and make sure you never come back here." With that, she turned and left the room, leaving behind a pain that had just been exposed. Back home, Faye found her father. Oko was finally forced to tell his son the whole truth about his past. While overcoming the tension, Oko sighed and looked straight at Effie, his eyes. "Faye, there is a truth that we have kept hidden for the past year. You are not my heart." Effie softly, his heart seemed to stop. He couldn't believe. "Father, what are you saying?" "One." Oko nodded, light. "I adopted you when I was in." The person who stayed behind tried to continue to accept the information that had just been revealed. All his life, he had believed that he was Oko's son. But now, Owako finished long, as if he was suffering from too much pain. "Many years ago, right after I got married, my wife and I had a disastrous argument. Instead of calmly resolving everything, I chose to leave home and go to a bar to drink. While drunk, on the way home, I got into a terrible accident. That accident took my life." He said, "But God didn't take my life. Instead, He took my legs. Since that accident, I have been paralyzed and in a wheelchair. At that time, I really thought my life was over. But then it appeared. Adopting you gave me a new ray of hope, a reason to continue living. I came to the idea." Wako paused. Faye still couldn't believe what he had just heard. But amidst all those nightmares, there was one important truth that Wako nodded firmly. That night, Faye tried to contact Oye all the time. He wanted to explain everything, wanted her to understand that they were not brothers in their hearts. But Oye refused to answer the phone, not even replying to any of the messages. She was still too heartbroken and confused. 3 days later, Oko decided to lead the family members to TJ's house. This time, they did not come to discuss matters, but to ask for her forgiveness. When they arrived at TJ's house, the atmosphere became cold and everyone seemed to feel distant from each other. Oko stared at TJ. Then he gently said, "TJ, I am a fool. I made a terrible mistake many years ago. I know that I do not deserve forgiveness, but please, for God's sake and for the sake of these children, find a place in your heart to forgive me." Oko truly regretted saying those words. His eyes were filled with sincerity. Tijia, however, was still seething with anger. She looked straight at Oko and said in a voice filled with indignation, "Are you talking about children? I will not let my daughter commit such a heinous thing by marrying your son." She spoke firmly, her tone filled with disapproval. Oko hurriedly explained. He told her that many years ago he had been in a terrible accident that left him in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Not only that, the accident had damaged his reproductive system, making him completely unable to have children. After the accident, I became lonely and desperate. I felt like I had lost everything until I decided to adopt a child, and that child was Fe. Oko's family members also knelt down, together begging for forgiveness from TG. TJ was silent. She looked at Oko, the man who had caused her pain, now sitting in a wheelchair with eyes full of remorse. Although her past pain had not completely disappeared, she could see the sincerity in his eyes. She took a deep breath and turned to her daughter, Oye. The young girl's eyes were filled with tears, her heart still hurt, but also filled with love. Finally, TJ spoke softly. "My daughter, the decision is yours. If you still love Faye and believe that you two can build a future together, I will support you." Oye looked at Faye, searching his face for any sign of hesitation, but all she saw in his eyes was love and sincerity. With a trembling voice, she asked, "Do you still want to be with me despite everything that has happened?" Faye stepped closer, his voice warm and steady. "I have loved you since the first moment I saw you, and that has never changed. If you still want me by your side, I will spend my life proving my love for you." Tears eased from Oye's face as she nodded heart. "I love you." Tijia sighed, the emotions in her heart like a bow wave. She turned to look at the man who had once refined her, Oko. Time here, his only. "I don't know if I can forget what you did to me and my daughter, but I will forgive you." Thank you very much, TG. You are a generous person. I really care about that. With the past restored, the wedding preparations continued, but this time everyone felt true happiness and peace. 6 months later, Oye and Faye held a grand wedding ceremony. It was a day filled with joy and laughter. TGA had completed the secondary for Oko, and most importantly, she found peace. To Clear's journey has been filled with pain and trauma, but thanks to the love of her family and friends, secondary things, whether for yourself or for others, are all necessary for us to move forward and find success in life. Thank you so much for following this story. If you love our content, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and share this story with your friends and family. See you in the next exciting stories.